Recording in progress.
CP3.
Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network. Thank you, gentlemen.
That's right. It's Monday night. Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network. Excuse me, episode 260, Capitals Talk, Super Bowl 56 recap of a great game. Robbie's coming to you with the NBA roundtable as always, and some great Olympics coverage to end up the show. So we got a full show. We're going to try to get it all in, try to keep things on time tonight because you know how things can get a little crazy. But it was a great Super Bowl, great ending to the 21-22 season with the new extended season, new playoff format. I'm not going to say pleasantly surprised, but I'm happy the way the playoffs went. There was all exciting games throughout the whole playoffs from the first round to the Super Bowl. And, like I said, now is the most important time, off season, draft, free agency, and all of that good stuff coming up. So, we're going to have that covered later on in the year when it's time for that. And as always, we got CP3 live in the lab, and we got Robbie G live in the man cave. Robbie G, how are you doing tonight, good sir?
I'm doing great. I'm sorry. I've got an issue that you often have with yours, which is the dog chewing the bone. That's always fun. But other than that, no, it's going well. We've got such a big and exciting night ahead of us. I'm really excited. For those who don't know, we're going to talk hockey at the start. We're going to then talk about the interesting Super Bowl yesterday with Dugenais, so that'll be fun. And then we got our Wizards Roundtable, which is cool. And then at the end, we're doing this whole charity thing. And so we'll have people use the exclamation donate in our Twitch chat. You'll see a lot more about what we're trying to do. You also see all these sorts of basically, they've been able to raise a ton of money. We'll get into what the charity is all about towards the end of the stream. But if people want to donate, there's information on screen. Just shout us out or one of the mods and let us know that you made a donation so that way we can shout you out on air. I'll have the donations up here as well. So a lot of music streamers are raising a ton of money for children who need it, and they really are well on their way to their goal. So I'll be shouting all that out on the Twitch stream throughout the rest of the evening. Carol, definitely was an up and down week for the Capitals. We'll start there. Disappointing for sure. We'll go through each one of them. So my dad has joined us on Twitch chat, and so has Andy and a couple of other people. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in. So let's get into the first game, and then while Carol breaks it down, I'll share it to a couple of hockey groups but it was a not so great week for the Capitals. It started off last Tuesday against the Columbus Blue Jackets in their first game back after the All-Star break. Garnet Hathaway scored his 8th goal of the season. The Washington Capitals were off to a good start. Assist by Nick Dowd, his 6th assist of the season. Carl Hagelin's 7th. And then 40 seconds in the second period, Nick Dowd scores, an assist by Martin Favari, and his 5th, and Carl Hagelin's 8th. Puts it 2-0 Capitals, and things are looking good. But they give up a power play, and Patrick Laine is amazing on the power play. He scores, and then they get another goal just about 3 minutes later, ties the game up. Kuzi scores for us on the power play, his 15th of the season. They retake the lead. Ovi's 30th assist of the season. John Carlson is 26 assists, 1557, made it a 3-2 game. But unfortunately, they gave him another power play, and Patrick Laine once again scores a goal. This time it's his 12th of the season, ties it up at 3-3, gives them momentum going in to the third period, scoring just with 4 seconds left in the period. They unfortunately score 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the period, makes it 4-3. Tom Wilson scores towards the end of the game at 17:34, an unassisted goal, made it 4-4. And I thought, oh man, we're going to salvage a point here. And very quickly I was wrong. 19:15 left. In the third period, Boone Jenner scores the game-winning goal, makes it 5-4 in a very, very frustrating game. But Carol, I'm going to let you give your extended take on that while I share this to a couple of Caps groups.
All right, Robbie broke down the scoring very well. Like you said, the Caps jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Everything looked good. The next thing you know, Columbus tied it up. Then the Caps take the lead again. Next thing you know, they're down. Then they tie it back up and then find a way to lose it with 2 minutes left in the game. Then they were trying to salvage a point and weren't able to do that. And I believe that was the 14th game they've lost when they've had a lead this season. And that trend, we spoke about it earlier in the season, and it's continuing throughout. At the beginning of the season, we saw, tough defense, 200 feet of ice, playing defense, all the way up. Transition game was good. It was lockdown defense. When they got a lead, the game was, pretty much a foregone conclusion. But then something turned, I know, with the injuries and everything. Excuse me, but you cannot have this continue to happen. You get 2-goal leads, sometimes 3-goal leads, and seeing the other team come back because they push back and the Capitals don't answer. So I don't know if it's the, shuffling of the lines and bringing these new guys up. I believe we had, 7 rookies this year that's got their first NHL goal. So that's a lot of inexperience on the ice. So is that leading to the problems with the defense? The goaltending this past week has been questionable. So I believe during the trade deadline, I think they will be seeking a veteran goaltender to bring in. Because Samsonov, some games he looks like he's the guy, and in some games look like that he doesn't belong out there. And it's consistency is the key, and he hasn't had it. And Double V, he's had unfortunate injuries this year, where he hasn't had a chance to get into a steady rotation and get locked in like we saw him do last year. So. I believe there was some rumors of them, talking about who was it, possibly signing Fleury. I believe, Robbie, you told me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I did.
He doesn't seem to want to play here because of the rivalry and the history with the team. So it'll be interesting to see if he'd actually, end up doing that. I think it would be tough to convince him, but I mean, I would love it. I think that would be probably gives him the best opportunity.
I mean, if he doesn't want to come, I don't want nobody that don't want to be here.
Yeah, for sure. That's true. One of the quicks, I want to give a scoring update. The Wizards are playing Detroit live. The Wizards are up 94-88, but they just drained a 3 and made it 97-88. So we'll be looking at the last 4 minutes of that game. We'll talk more about it in the Wizards segment, but I'm just going to give a couple of scoring updates on that one as well. All right, well, I think we've kind of summed up that Columbus game pretty well. It's just really kind of heartbreaking and disappointing in a whole lot of ways. I mean, I'm happy Tom Wilson scored. I'm happy, Kuzi got a power play goal. I thought they could have come back and won that game, and that's what makes that one really tough. The next one is the Montreal Canadiens. It's Joe Snively gets on the board first. So he's in there on the top line because Ovechkin can't make the trip to Montreal because the rule states if anybody's had COVID within the last couple of weeks, you just basically can't come in. And we've got Joe Snively getting on the board. His very first NHL goal, 5:04 in the first period. Justin Schultz's 10th assist. Connor McMichael scores just 20 seconds later. His 7th of the season. Assist by Lars Eller, his 14th. And Trevor Van Riemsdyk, his 12th. Makes it 2-0. In the second period, Carl Hagelin scores 3:40 into it from a pretty crazy angle. His 3rd goal of the season. Martin Favari gets his 6th assist. John Carlson's 27th, makes it 3-0. They get a goal back and make it 3-1. Joe Snively gets his 2nd of the season. And Joe Snively is actually from Virginia. He's, I believe, the very first player from the state of Virginia to ever score for the Washington Capitals. So now he's got 2 goals. Evgeny Kuznetsov got his 32nd assist of the season. Justin Schultz 11th, makes it 4-1. Cole Caulfield on the power play makes it 4-2 again, and then Tom Wilson gets the empty netter from Joe Snively, who could have gotten a hat trick, but I thought was very wise and passed it to Tom Wilson, who had a better shot at it. And Kuzi's 33rd assist of the season. But I'm just impressed that Joe could have had a hat trick, but made the right play, got it to Tom Wilson. Gets 3 points on the night, which I've always said is just as good as a hat trick. You don't have to have all of them be goals. If you're responsible for 3 points, a hat trick of points is still very, very valuable, at least in most games. So really great game from Joe, and the whole team played really well north of the border. Now, Montreal is a pretty terrible team, but what were some of your thoughts on that, Carol?
I mean, this game, the Capitals pretty much, took control of it off the break. And, they played defense. They gave up some late goals, to make it 5-2. But for the most part, they played solid defense from the break, even though we know Montreal isn't, one of the top echelon teams, but they did what they were supposed to do against a lesser opponent. They jumped on them, got a 3-0 lead, and, pretty much shut them down. And, they got a couple of goals, like I said, late in the game, but it was never really a contest. And we spoke about this last week with their goaltender. Even they spoke about it during a broadcast before he got pulled, that he has no confidence in what he's doing. All those goals that he gave up, especially the one that Hagelin, that crazy angle, he took away the short side, but left the whole rest of the net wide open, and Hagelin was able to snipe it in the top corner. So he looked like they're having some of the goalie issues that we're having with inconsistent goaltending. But when they brought in their backup, he didn't give up another 3. He gave up 1, but the other one was an empty net. So I don't know. It was a game when you was hoping that the Capitals would build off of, especially with the game on Super Bowl Sunday coming up, and against the opponent Ottawa, who have faced them twice this year already, and both times they've given up the first 2 or 3 goals and had to come back to win the game. And I was hoping they wouldn't happen again, but Robbie always speaks about the early afternoon games haven't been nice to the Capitals. So leading up into that game, I was hoping that this would build some momentum going into the game on Super Bowl Sunday, but we'll get to that in a little while.
Yeah, that game was pretty rough. But I really am happy with how they did it against Montreal. I thought that they kind of just took care of business, went north of the border without an Ovechkin, and kind of played a really good, solid team game. Montreal is a terrible team with a brand new coach, though, and they've kind of taken advantage of that now twice this season. Canadian teams getting new coaches and then playing them. So it's hard to know what you really gained out of it. Going into the next game, it started off so bad for the Capitals. I mean, a shorthanded goal right off the bat, very frustrating. And then they got Zach Sanford, former Washington Capital draft pick, on a second goal about 10 minutes later, makes it 2-0. I was so happy to see Nicholas Backstrom get on the board on the power play. So somebody other than Ovi or Kuzi scoring on the power play, which is a rare sight for this team. His fourth goal this season, assist by Ovi, is 31st and John Carlson's 28th. Made it 2-1. I was like, all right, we can build something off this. But unfortunately, Brady Tkachuk scores his 15th of the season, makes it 3-1. And then in the third period, they tack in another goal, makes it 4-1. I'm going to go make myself a drink while you try to break this game down for a second, and then I'll be right back with my drink. But yeah, it was, from my point of view, everything but the Backstrom goal sucked.
Yeah, this was pretty much as I mentioned. Ottawa has played the Capitals twice this year, and both times they jumped out on jumped out with the lead, and the Capitals were able with the early lead, and the Capitals were able to get their game together and were able to come back and win the game in both of those occurrences. So we spoke about this last week that Ottawa is a tough team. You know, they're fast, they're hungry, they're young, and if their goaltender plays, solid, they're a tough team to beat. And Bobby, always says about the early games with the Capitals aren't really the best thing. So I don't know if they were sleepwalking through it, but Ottawa was wide awake and they jumped on the Capitals early. The shorthanded goal. We've talked about the power play the last few weeks and how ineffective it has been. We know that Oshie's still out, but Backstrom's back. So, you're hoping that some things will start to click back in, even though you don't have Oshie in that pivotal bumper spot. But to have your power play lacking and giving up a shorthanded goal, and I believe we've given up 6 shorthanded goals this season, and I think that's second in the league. So, granted, we've gotten 6 shorthanded goals, on our side, so we're even there. But when your power play is the 29th in the league, and I think it's 15.7%, you can't afford to give up shorthanded goals when you're not even scoring on your own power play. And I don't want to say that took the momentum and gave Ottawa. I think it did give Ottawa more momentum, and it just got them, pushing more, and the Capitals didn't push back. And like I said, before you knew it, it was 2-1 trying to come back, but they couldn't get that goal to tie it up. They always say that's the next goal would be the most important goal in the 2-1 game, and Ottawa got it, and they were able to hold on for the 4-1 victory, and made the Caps look pretty bad at home.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. It's very frustrating for a whole lot of reasons. That game just kind of, uh, I don't know. I just was expecting so much more from that, and I don't even know really what more to break down other than like we should beat a team like that. We, had Ovechkin back. I like the new lineups. It had some interesting mixes and matches. I thought it might be successful against that thing, and I felt like the energy wasn't there at the beginning of the game, and like we were kind of behind it from the start, and we just don't play well. I know we come back a lot, but like we still don't necessarily win a lot of those games. We often come back and sometimes fall short, and it's just frustrating all around.
That game hurt, but I think the Columbus game hurt more because they didn't even, they had a chance to get a point and found a way to squander it with 2 minutes left right after Tom Wilson scored to tie it up to try to, get a point, being that they, squandered leads in that game several times. And I think that one hurt the most, especially, with it being a Metro opponent that isn't playing that well. You definitely, because they do have a good record against the division, but you don't want to lose games like that where you should at least got a point out of it, especially against the division, because those points will count later in the season.
For sure. I agree. All right, well, let's take a quick look at the week ahead for the Capitals. They've got Nashville tomorrow. That's this 8 o'clock game. And then Thursday, they're going to be playing at Philadelphia. It's a 7 o'clock game. And so this is still part of that Olympic break where like some teams play other teams and some teams like play very few games. I'm trying to think of how many games the Rangers had. In that same time, they play. I guess they played the 15th against Boston, but that was like the first game that they had in 2 weeks, right? So it's it's kind of strange to look at how like lopsided some of these are. Like some teams played a lot more games than others. Um, and I don't think the Rangers would have played any at all, but they're just trying to like thin out some other parts of their schedule. So that's why they're playing this game this week. But anyway, Nashville has been a tough out for the Capitals, especially in Nashville. They have lost to the Jets and the Dallas Stars. They beat Vancouver, lost to Edmonton, and beat Seattle in all pretty close games, except for the Vancouver. They beat them 4-2. They lost to the Winnipeg Jets 5-2, but the other ones were close. We really need to go into Nashville and somehow get a win. I have a friend of mine who's been kind of a lucky charm for the Capitals and Ravens all season, going to that Pittsburgh game a couple of weeks ago where they won a game. I'm hoping he's their good luck charm again. This is going to be a tough matchup. What are your thoughts on the Predators?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough matchup. Nashville is very good at home. They have solid goaltending and they have, I always hate to say it, but Capitals draft pick Forsberg, who's a free agent at the end of the season. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. But yeah, Nashville is always a tough out for this team, especially like you say in Nashville. I don't know what it is about that building that gives the Caps problems, but they're definitely going to have to come out, and that first 10 minutes they need to set the tone and set the pace for the game and play solid defense, to start the game out and not have to ramp up throughout the game. We've always talked about playing 60 minutes, and lately we've been seeing maybe 45 or maybe 50 minutes instead of a full 60 minutes of hockey. So they need to come out ready to go, legs moving, out there with the forecheck, hitting them, putting them on the boards, and getting the puck deep and getting some zone time. That's one thing that I've noticed on this latest stretch. They haven't been getting a lot of zone time, not just on the power play, but on 5-on-5. At the beginning of the season, they were leading the league in 5-on-5 goals, but lately, I don't see any, puck possession, any zone time, any extended zone time, any of that. So they need to get back to some of that. But like I said, other teams are playing them more aggressive now and taking away time and space. So they have to find a way to counter that. But definitely something has to improve with this team, and they have to come out ready to play as soon as the puck drops. Not go down 2 goals and then we gotta get it going. We need to get it going off the break.
Yeah, for sure. They're almost exactly in the same sort of place on the West Coast that we are. They're at the bottom of the Central, but they're right in that playoff. Like they're at 60 points, we're at 61. So it'll be a really interesting, very close matchup. Looking ahead to Thursday's game, we play the division rival, the Flyers. The Flyers have lost 2 games in a row to Detroit. They beat the Jets before that. They beat the Kings before that, and lost the Islanders for that game. Flyers have had a really rough season. This game's in Philadelphia, so it's going to be a rough and tumble affair. It's going to be one of those games on ESPN Plus that I know our fans hate. But Carol, what are your quick thoughts on the Philly game?
Philly, we know how Philly rolls. We know how they are at home. And the Capitals definitely going to have to, like I say, start out the game, as soon as the puck drops. You can't, especially on the road, you can't, you're not going to have a crowd to help will you back into the game or get you, going in the game. So, the Caps normally play better on the road because they simplify things and, keep it simple, no fancy passes. And that's one of the other things I've noticed. I see a lot of wraparound passes and blind passes that's been ending up being turnovers in their own zone. So I just think they need to simplify things, get back to basics, and then things will start falling into place after that. I think they still trying to get a little too fancy with all of these new pieces they have on the lines. On each line. Nicky just coming back. I know he's a veteran, but he's still getting back in the groove from him being missing most of the season, and all the new players that's come up. It's just get back to basics, keep it simple. Let's get the puck in the back of the net. It doesn't have to be pretty and a top 10 highlight every time. Sometimes you got to get those dirty goals in front. You chipping away at it and got somebody get close in the blue paint.
Yeah, for sure. That'll be our last game for a while. We're not going to play again for another week until the following Thursday, and then we'll play the following Saturday after that against Philadelphia again. Both games in Philly. That's another one of those 12:30 games that I hate so much. So that'll be things we'll look forward to in the next week. But I think that was a pretty good, just quick breakdown of Caps talk. I know that we already got Dugenet on the line, so we'll go to our Super Bowl talk a little bit early because I know that there's a lot to break down. So we're going to bring in Dugenet now. I first have to, two quick things off the bat, and then we can get into everything else. Dugenet, you weren't here last week. We have to get your quick take. It was the Commanders. They didn't do it wasn't a play on anything, and unfortunately, it was the pick I didn't want. But I want to get your reaction to that, and then we can get into the Super Bowl talk.
It's a name. It was a garbage dump rollout, and we can't even win off the field. So, yeah. So it is what it is, and it got to win on the field. It doesn't matter whether they call them the cupcakes, toilet bowls, hogs, red hogs, wart hogs. Doesn't matter. They got to start winning on the field for anything to matter. So, but yeah, rollout looked like I probably could find a room of kindergartners that could have done a better job than the curtain drop and the ta-da that we got.
Yep, I agree. Well, welcome to the show. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm happy you could join us. We could talk about more things like the Super Bowl in 1 second. One other Defenders news, or not Defenders, I want to call them Defenders. That would be a better name. Commanders news. So looks like the owners may not decide to vote out Dan, and there's also been rumors today that was talked about saying if it was a written report that they had gotten to submit, they would have suggested he be ousted to begin with, but it was an oral one that was kept hush-hush. Dugenet, do you think that this is starting to be the end, or is it just more smoke and mirrors and he'll dodge this one too?
Look, I think there's a possibility, but I think people need to realize, or they don't realize. Look, Dan got dirt on them too. Okay? So, maybe he does get ousted, but they better be ready to defend themselves as well. Because we know that one in the big state of Texas who has his business in the street, and I'm sure there's other organizations as well. So I do think there's a possibility, but I also know that Dan got dirt on them too. So good luck with that.
I mean, I said at the bar radio, I find it kind of questionable that all of a sudden now, when Congress gets involved, which I also find questionable, that now you have 9-10, folks saying that, have direct implications of Snyder when a report originally came out, there was nothing that could link him to anything directly. And no one has any exact dates. No one has any exact events. They just saying that, something happened. So I don't know what's going on, because you have to have, I think I looked at it, I think you have to have 26 of the 32 owners to vote out a fellow owner. And one of the only ways you can really vote an owner out is because of the morality clause, which is sexual harassment, yada, 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 stuff like that, drugs, whatever. So this whole situation is just crazy. But like Dugenet said, Snyder has dirt on a lot of people. So how is this going to go down? Are the owners going to vote him out and, like you say, prepare themselves for the fall that's going to come after it, or that's going to, find a way to work it out where he pays a fine, another fine, or steps away from the organization and continues to have his wife run it, whatever. But it's interesting how all of this stuff is playing out, and I need to start taking better notes because I need to do a documentary on it, because this is going to be good film right here.
But don't forget now, you're just focusing on what people are talking about, these these women are talking about, who it's legit. Okay, it's legit. Um, they got emails, man. I mean, these folks have been so nonchalant and were so careless with what they were doing and reckless with what they were doing. I mean, Gruden's caught up in this, both of them. There's emails. They can track all this stuff. I mean, that first report that your glorious commissioner, who should be canned himself, um, they got enough evidence. And then for Snyder to say that he's going to investigate himself is a joke. Um, another big fat joke. I mean, what good is that? I mean, isn't that the same result of what happened this time when your boy from the NFL, the commissioner, saved you from your business being put in the street when that's what should have been done? Because the business was put in the street,
Well,
that's
see,
exactly what would have happened.
well, see,
Is
that's
that he
the,
wouldn't even be the owner. They would have voted his butt out of here.
well,
I
see,
mean,
that's the
most
thing.
people know exactly what happened here.
See, that's the
Most people
thing.
know what happened here.
It's crazy how they have the agreement that both parties have to agree to give the investigative notes to into a third party.
It's
So
trash.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to disregard the allegations and say it didn't happen and I wasn't there. I just say, like I say, I find it convenient that all of a sudden now, when the other executives and certain members of the media staff were let go, when everything hit the fan, that it was clearly said that there was no direct implications to him. And then all of a sudden, once Congress get involved, which I've always had a question mark about, what influence with all the stuff that they have going on right now that needs to be addressed, that this is a big issue to them, that all of a sudden that they want to, have a whole hearing about it. Like I said, we talked about this before in the show. We don't talk about the politics and the outside stuff. But
Right.
to me, this smells funky of Jeff Bezos. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. With him getting all them tax breaks and all the stuff he got going on, and he couldn't get a team, and he couldn't get Seattle because the folks in Seattle know how he rolled. But now he's here, and he's been made it known that he wants to own the team. The mayor and the councilwoman, Eleanor Holmes Norton, has made it known they want a stadium back in the city, and he said that he would build a dome in the city if he ever had a team. I just feel there's a lot of other side shady stuff going on that's involved, and it's not saying it's not as clean. I'm just saying there's too many other moving parts for me to say, okay, yeah, this is solid. This is this. This is this. I want to see, wait until everything falls. So, like you said, if Snyder goes down, he's going to take some people down with him, and I want to wait.
And they should be.
Yeah, I want to see all the fallout that comes from it. But let's get off of that. We got all off season to talk about that. Let's get to the real deal in Super Bowl 56 and that great game that we witnessed between the Rams and Cincinnati. The Rams. I was like I said, I was leaning toward them, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati pulled it off. The Rams, they were ready. I didn't get a chance to pay a lot of attention to the game. I was watching the game doing the show I was doing, but the Rams definitely with Matt Stafford, he was definitely ready to, make something happen. Odell Beckham was making his presence known in the Super Bowl until he went out with the knee injury. That definitely changed the complexion of the game. Cincinnati has been a second half team for most of the year, and they showed that. And the way it came down to the wire, so I saw some folks talking about, it might be, fixed for some of the calls and non-calls. Um, like I said, I didn't pay close attention. I looked at the penalties. There weren't really a lot of penalties. I know I saw the play with Higgins when he tugged Ramsey's helmet and kind of threw him off balance and had the longest reception in Super Bowl longest touchdown reception in Super Bowl history, and they didn't call that. I don't know how they missed that, but I didn't really see any egregious misses or any bad calls in the game. I thought it was a very entertaining game, and I did want the Rams to win, and they did pull it out, but I wouldn't have been shocked if Cincy did. Cincinnati definitely has a huge, upside and future ahead of them with the pieces they have in place already, and then add more to it. So I thought it was a very entertaining Super Bowl. And then we'll talk about the halftime show later. That's a whole nother conversation in itself. But I thought it was a good game. I thought it was exactly what we pretty much said it was. It was going to be, it was going to come down to which defense stood up when it was time to stand up, and the Rams defense stood up when it was time to stand up. And Dujanay, I'll let you take it away because I haven't have any idea what you thought because we haven't talked about it all. So I want to get your take on it.
It was a good game. It played out uh, pretty much the way that I thought it would turn out, with the exception of I thought Zach Taylor showed his inexperience as a coach. Um, there's some things that the Rams did as far as running the football too much. You weren't going to run the football. They made it. Cincinnati made it clear that they weren't going to allow you to run the football, and they continued to do so. Um, that was a negative that I thought that the Rams made. Um, Cincinnati late in the ball game did not stick with the run, and I would have stuck with Mixon and P. Ryan. I don't know what you were trying to do there. Mixon needed to have the ball in his hands completely. He was averaging, I believe, at least I think it was like 6 yards a carry, I believe. Um, but he was averaging very good yards per carry. There was no excuse for him to not be the one with the ball in his hands. They should have been running the ball more. That would have taken some pressure off of that offensive line and would have allowed them to go do a little bit more boot action, some more play action, and allowed them to make some plays in the passing game. They got way too pass happy, and it played right into that defensive front four. I hear people talking about the face mask, and yes, they missed it, but let's be real here, okay? Jalen Ramsey has played like lukewarm dumpster juice the whole entire playoffs, okay? Him and Eli Apple are in the same boat. Trash. They play like trash the whole entire playoffs, and they both got toasted. And one, Eli Apple, was the one who was to get toasted the most, who cost him the game. Um, I do feel that the refs got too involved. To finish that, yes, it was a face mask, but it was not enough for him to go flopping down the field 7 yards. He still had enough opportunity to make a play on that ball. He was acting and looking for someone to help him because he was burnt like a biscuit and didn't know what the heck was going on. Then he's looking around all confused. He's confused because once again, for like the third or fourth time in that game, he got made look like some lukewarm dumpster juice, burnt toast.
I mean, he was
Trash.
he was in good position on that play though.
Doesn't matter. He didn't get pushed enough to be flopping down the field 7 yards.
I mean,
Okay.
his momentum was carrying. I mean, because if you put when he's
On a
looking back
face
for the
mask,
ball-
when your head is turned back, you mean to tell me you gonna flop down the field 7 yards? I'm not buying that.
maybe he was trying to get the call because he hadn't felt like he got it before, but that should have been
That
called
was
on.
ugly.
Something should have.
It should have been called, but he
It
shouldn't have been
should've
flopping down the field 7 yards.
True. He
Sorry,
should have been. True.
I am not giving him that. He's played like trash the whole playoffs. Stop bailing him out. Sorry, I'm not going for it. The linebacker who made an excellent play and batted that ball down, which was thrown behind Cooper Kupp, and they threw that flag, trash. You hadn't called it all game. Where did that come from? Now we all of a sudden want to call fouls that weren't fouls, and that was not a foul. That was a great play made by the linebacker. Was it the play that cost Cincinnati the game? Absolutely not. Why? Because Zach Taylor is an inexperienced young coach and was basically in a situation that he was going to get outcoached. It didn't matter whether they got the ball back. It was going to be, 4th and 1, 4th and 4, whatever. I don't think they kick a field goal. I still don't think Cincinnati wins this ball game because Zach Taylor's not smart enough to run the football, which was working against this defense that is aggressive, was leaving gaps wide the heck open for them to run in and putting them in good position to be able to pass the football. They also made some key drops. It was Higgins who dropped the ball. Tyler Boyd hadn't dropped a stinking ball all season long. Dropped the ball in the key moment in the game where he possibly could have had enough momentum to carry him for a first down. So they made some mistakes. I think coaching was the factor that made it. Now I'm not saying that Sean McVay you know, play calling was stellar or anything. I think Matt Stafford bailed him out.
Oh my God, some of those play calls in the second
yes.
half, I was ready to smack him, man.
Matt Stafford bailed him out, but I'm saying overall, Zach Taylor did not play to the strength of his football team. He put his quarterback in a bad situation to get sacked 7 times, knowing that his offensive line leaks badly, and the running game is what stops them and allows them to be very good as far as protecting their quarterback in passing situations. They got pass happy. He panicked. They lost this football game by 3, and they really could have won this football game by 3 if they run the football more in that second half. So the right team won the football game. I don't think those calls down the stretch changed anything, but I do not like the fact that the referees got involved at the end of that football game. It didn't have to happen. They didn't need to be involved. They'd allowed them to play all game. I don't want to hear about a makeup call that's way late in the game to be having a makeup call. You missed the call, own it, but don't go making a call on something that's a non-call. That's trash. And we all know that.
My big problem the whole entire night was they were doing so good on not having penalty calls the whole night, and then at the end you're gonna ruin it. I'm like, oh, right. Like a non-issue. Like they were that close to like finally having a big game with no controversy. You know,
right?
It's just like,
and see, that's you're making a good point there, Robbie. That's where people go and say, see, the NFL is fixing games. This is where they're fixing it to have the team that they want to win by making calls like that where there is not a foul, and then we all know it's not a foul. You can look at that and see it. It's clear. They have been calling that, and it's not like he tugged the jersey. He wasn't holding anybody. And any talking head on the radio that's sitting up here calling that a foul is just playing in and just protecting the shield. It's bullcrap. There was no foul on that play. That linebacker made an excellent play on the ball. It was a bad throw by Stafford. It was behind him. The linebacker makes a great play on Cup, and they throw a flag for no reason at all.
All right. I want to go back to what you were saying about the run-pass ratio with Cincinnati. Because Mixon, like you said, Mixon was getting almost 5 yards of carry. He had 15 carries for 72 yards and a 4.8 yard average. Joe Burrow only threw the ball 33 times. Let me check and see if I can find how many they ran total. Because Mixon was, having a good day. I felt like he did get away from the run more than he should have, and he didn't do his team any justice by abandoning the run. But I mean, Burrow was in a zone, so I can understand some of the mixture of him throwing the ball a little bit more. But
he was allowed him to tee off. If you look at the situation though, in the situation in the moment, that defensive front was teeing off on them. Yeah. And to counter that, in the moments when he ran the football, they gashed them, especially when they got in position. Well, when they made a drive that stalled, but they gashed them a few times for some big runs that resulted in them flipping the field position, potentially flipping the field position, and he just didn't make those calls. Then forcing and running up the middle at the most inopportune time I just don't agree with that. You gotta understand the situation. You gotta understand the position that you're in, and look at the opposing team defense and what they're doing. Hey, they're looking to come at you. Their teeth are like, their teeth are showing, and they're foam at the mouth. They're teeing off, looking to come after your quarterback. The way to counter that is to maybe you delay handoff with a draw, or something to negate that pass rush. We all know that you aggressive defense is to run that football right at them, and they'll blow right by you. They're going to give you the lanes. You just have to be smart about it.
True, yeah, because I'm looking at the Burrow threw the ball 33 times, they only ran the ball 20 times, and 15 of those went to Mixon. They tried to mix in P. Ryan. I don't know why Mixon was having a good go at it.
Yep.
Um, just looking at some of the stats, Cincinnati had 15 first downs. The Rams had 17. Third down conversions is where this game I feel was lost.
Yeah.
Cincinnati was 3 for 14, and the Rams were 6 for 15. Rush yards, Cincinnati had 79. Rams had 43. Total yards, 313 for the Rams, 315 for the Bengals, 7 sacks for the Rams, 2 for Cincy. And the time of possession was almost dead even, 30 minutes and 47 seconds for the Rams and 29 minutes and 13 seconds for Cincy. It just came down to, like you say, execution when it was time for, crunch time. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Cooper Cup, we gotta take some time and talk about the stellar season this dude had out of nowhere. The Triple Crown winner, 145 receptions, 1,900 and what was it, 43 yards, and 16 touchdowns. Led the league in all three categories, and was the MVP of the Super Bowl with 8 catches for 92 yards, 11.5 at average, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, we knew the dude
Big
was
plays.
good, but to shine on a big stage like that, we saw what he did during the season. Him and Stafford had a connection, Like I said, the Triple Crown winner, for the wide receiver, that's already a huge statement right there. But then to go into the Super Bowl and come up with two huge touchdowns, a game-winning touchdown, and to get the MVP, it's yeah, you got to take your hat off. Also got to take your hat off to Sean McVay. He Jay Gruden ran him out of town. He could have possibly been a coach here, but they're raising the trophy in LA now, and got to give a shout out to him. He took like 5 of our assistants, so they now have rings now. I was rooting for them. OBJ, he got a ring. He got hurt, unfortunately, in the game. That definitely changed the complexion of the game because he was having a good performance so far before he got hurt. But yeah, you got to take your hat off to them. They figured it out, even though McVay was trying to give the game away later in the game, like Dujane said he would. But you got to take your hat off to him. Stafford, I was rooting for him. All them years in Detroit and in that franchise, and going to a team that's a contender, and him actually being able to get it done. You know, got to take your hat off to him because some folks get in that position and still can't put it together. And I just think it was a great Super Bowl.
It
Definitely
was.
entertaining. And it wasn't a blowout. It came down to the end and reminded me of the old Rams Titans that came down to the last second with them diving on the 2 yard line and trying to stretch for the touchdown. It kind of reminded me of that field because it was going back and forth. You didn't know, who was going to win it, and then that crucial, time in the game, that sack that led to the turnover on downs, and next thing you know, LA Rams was celebrating the Super Bowl victory. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
it was a good one.
I'm gonna go into the bladder real quick while Robbie give his take, and we'll talk about the halftime show before we get out of here for the NBA roundtable.
Sounds good. Yeah, I thought it was a good game too. I, I was. It's hard for me because I didn't really know who to root for. I like the underdog story of Cincinnati. We've been talking for a while that we thought the AFC was a better division or a better conference, and whoever was going to be the winner from that was going to be that. But it's always. I feel like that happens a lot where it's like this conference is better, but then it comes to the Super Bowl and it doesn't like throw that out the window because it really doesn't seem to matter a whole lot. I liked LA. I liked their story. I liked some of the players on that team. Yeah, I was kind of bummed that the 49ers weren't the team to make it, but it wasn't enough for me. I know that Anna and some other people are now like anybody but LA, and I understand that as well. But it's hard for me to get behind Cincinnati being a Ravens fan and then beating the crap out of the Ravens twice, and so that's very frustrating. But at the same time, my dad was like, "Well, you want to lose to the best, right? So you should root for them, and then it doesn't look so bad. The Ravens lost to the Super Bowl champions." That might be, but ultimately, I think I'm happy with it being a close game, a good game. There wasn't too many controversies. There was a little bit, but it wasn't like the whole game was that way. And I think that the better team ultimately won. I think LA's been kind of doing that all season, and they've been kind of flirting with disaster, but somehow finding a way to move on. And they kind of flirted with disaster again and found a way to move on and ultimately become a champion. But I agree. For me, and my money's worth, I think the halftime show is a better performance. So I'll let that be the segue for Carol for you to help break it down. I saw one meme. I'll just say it real fast, and then I'll get your take. Basically, anyone that was under 30 is like, who are these guys? And anyone over 50 hated this show. But that sweet spot of if you're 30 to 50, freaking went off for it. And I kind of feel like I'm in that category. But what are your thoughts, Carol?
I thought it was one of the best, if not the best, halftime show ever. Just because, like you said, we came up in that era, and just to see all of even though it was some folks said it was watered down hip hop, it was still hip hop being represented on a worldwide stage, and celebrating minority artists that's made hip hop what it is today, that helped make hip hop what it is today. So the halftime show was phenomenal. I loved every minute of it. The 50 Cent surprise was definitely unexpected, and everybody's having fun. Talking about how the inflation has got 50 Cent looking like a dollar bill now. It was definitely. I haven't got a chance to watch it for real, because we were doing our show at the bar radio, so we were watching it during the video break. But I'm gonna go back and look at it with the music up, with the surround sound on it. I might start crip walking and dancing around this joint myself, man. But I definitely think I normally don't watch the halftime show. I really don't care about it, but this definitely is up there with the Prince halftime performance, the Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction, and you got to put this one up there as I say top three halftime shows ever.
Yeah, it was good, man. I like the fact that it triggered some folks. I'm good. I'm not sure if it's the over 50 crowd. I ain't gonna call them out, but you know who you are. It ain't us. It ain't us. I'm gonna just put it that way. Who's over 50? It's them Karens. You know who you are. Um, that don't like it, and I'm cool with that. Keep crying. Keep that OBJ cry face going on. That's the new Jordan cry face, by the way.
Yeah, that I knew that was going to be when I seen them doing it.
That's yes, sir. When I saw that, I knew it right off the top. But it was a great show. They did the best that they could to fit, you know, fit all of that in a 10-minute span. The surprise by 50. You know, I would have liked to see more Kendrick than 50, but it was still cool though. Eminem was great. I know a lot of those guys got a lot of new music out, but I think what they did was they played to California's classics, and the stuff that people knew, um, and that could get the stadium rocking. And it took you back, man. I loved it. And like I said, I love the fact that it triggered some folks too. So, it's great to have some hip hop representation. Just remember that, how many times we resurrected these old, ancient 80s hair bands that y'all come out and bring out of the daggone nursing home to come play at the halftime show. Now that's how you perform. That's all I'm going to say. That's how you perform. Now, let's see this keep going the way that it should be. Because All that other stuff. Come on, man.
My personal opinion, I loved every moment of it. I thought I wanted more from each one, but I understand what you're saying. Like, there's a confined time, but it's like I have so many songs I would love to see Eminem do in the biggest stage, and I'm like, I mean, it makes sense what they picked, but like. I liked his kneeling. People like that turned into its own controversy. Is he Kaepernicking? Is he not? That's
Trigger
all over
folks,
media.
boy. Triggers folks. I loved it.
Yeah, and I loved it. I thought he was just bowing to the greatness that is Dr. Dre. That's
I
how
thought
I
he
took
was.
it.
I thought that he was kind of fading out from.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
because he was done, so he was kind of like fading
Yeah.
out, and then he was letting Dre do his thing or whatever. But you know how it is. I'm cool with it though. I don't care what they think.
Right. Either way, I liked it, whether it is a political message or
That's
just
right.
not.
I don't care what they think.
Yeah.
What
Either
you
way,
wanna think.
it was a great performance. I seen Dr. Dre play the keys. I thought that was amazing.
That was amazing.
Yeah, I did not expect that moment, but that was that for me. Did either of you guys, real quickly, do the VR thing that they were like showcasing?
Nah.
No. And I know Carol was like only watching the. See, I unfortunately had to watch it on delay because I put my kid to sleep, and I came back and watched it, and then I had to fast forward through parts of the third, to catch up, which is fine because it wasn't a very exciting third quarter anyway. But so I wish I had gotten to see it because I heard from people that did do it that it was like one of the coolest experiences they've ever done with their device, and you got to be like on stage with them, and that would have been cool. But I think you had to be like in that moment at that time.
Yeah.
So
Right.
But that's cool that they tried that.
It is.
And it's cool that some people didn't need that, some people didn't want that, but some people got an opportunity, something for everybody, which is cool as well. So good on them. I hope that we get to see other genres of music going forward. I think this really highlighted that there was a very much of a lack of this, and somebody's going to get offended every time, right? Somebody's not going. I mean, Carol might not be interested in certain bands or whatever, but I like that they need to rotate this and try different things, and that way across a 5-year span, there's something for everybody.
Well, you gotta give a shout out to Jay-Z because I know he was instrumental in putting this halftime show together. A lot of folks was criticizing him when he took on that role with the NFL to bridge the gap. So, a lot of folks don't want to talk about it, but you got to give him a shout out for it because, he was instrumental in putting this whole thing together. So it was definitely a great experience to see. We're going to see how things go moving forward. But it was, like I said, it was definitely entertaining 2020, 2021, 2022 season with the new 17-week schedule, along with the new playoff format. Only, the first place team get the first round bye and play with the extra wild card team. So definitely NFL is going in the right direction. And Dujanay, I can't wait for us to have our off-season show with Washington and see what they do, especially with Brandon Sheriff hopefully being gone and getting that $18 million off the books, and Landon Collins even taking a pay cut or getting his $17 million off the books. That'll put us around $60 million under the cap, and we can finally hopefully get us a franchise quarterback, because I've been hearing some things about Russell Wilson might be on their radar, and they might be, as long as they throw the truck at Terry and lock him in and get us a quality quarterback. I think this team could definitely take a step in the right direction in 2022 and 2023 season.
Yeah, it's a possibility, man. Some quarterbacks out there. You got Kyler Murray out there in the mix now too, because he wants out. So, or they want him out, which is wild to me. But there's some bodies out there. So we'll see what Washington does. It'll be very interesting.
I forgot to ask, did you see the clickbait I put out there the other day, man?
I did. That was hilarious.
I had to do it, man, especially after he took all of the Arizona stuff off his Instagram. I put it up just to see what I didn't put it on the show page. I put it on my page to see what.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was hilarious.
I missed that. What did you share? Hold on.
It was a tweet that apparently that Arizona had traded Kyler Murray to Minnesota. So I posted it on my personal page as breaking news. I didn't put it on the show page. And a lot of folks was shocked. A lot of folks was like, that's not, because the guy's name was Benjamin Dover. And they realized it was Ben Dover. So it's like, They was like, you can Google. I was like, I know that's why they put it on my show page. I just want some clickbait on my page. I need some engagement.
That was excellent.
That's pretty awesome. Well, it's been such a fun football season. I'm sorry that it's over, but we'll always have you back, Dujanet, to break down all the off-season news. So it won't be long until we get to talk football again. Give a shout out to all of your podcasts and shows that you're doing. People can catch you on your social media, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
You can check me out at Not Bland 21 on Twitter. Not Bland Show. We'll be talking about drag racing as the season gets started this weekend. So I'll be breaking down the first race of the season, what I expect to see this weekend as we get started and break into the 2022 season. And then, of course, you can always catch me on the breakdown as we're going to start having some driver interviews and some more personal interviews with the drivers, as well as me and Karita breaking down some things with the NBA, the WNBA, and of course, Washington football team and other stuff that, comes across the wire that, may grind our gears that we'll talk about as well. So I appreciate you guys, man. And of course, we'll be back at it again. Of course, the USFL starts in April. So make sure you guys check that out. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. We definitely want to see what the product looks like because the XFL was off to a good start until what went down with them. So hopefully we can get some more football going out for some of these guys that still, able to play the game. They might not be at the NFL level, but they still have talent enough to entertain us and put a good product on the field. So we definitely want to keep that in mind and check them out as with the NFL off season and all of the goings on, free agency and draft and all of that stuff. So, we're going to pick Dujanet's brain, being the college guy that we have on staff that covers all the NCAA, especially the SEC. So stay tuned. Check out Dujanet on our website, sportsothp.com, or the podcast partners. Click on there and check out all the great stuff that he's putting out there on all the platforms, any and everything sports related.
All right, fellas.
Sounds good. Thank you again, Dujanet. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
All right, Carol, I'll let you give your final thoughts before I let you get out of here, and then I'll bring my NBA roundtable on for an abbreviated little segment. And then, I wanted to give a quick little shout out. One of my mods, Andy, was my first donation on my side of it. I'm sorry if people on Twitchland, the audio was a little loud for when donations were getting through, and they're raising a ton of money over on the music stream as well. So a lot of money being raised, Carol, for a really important children's charity, $18,250 already on just day 2 of 5. So that's really exciting. We'll talk more about what the charity is about with one of the creators of it a little bit later in our final segment, but I'm happy to see that they did so well over the last 2 hours. And we'll be also doing live look-ins during that last segment of how the show is going over on the other channels as well. But Carol, thanks for being a part of this and letting me have a special Valentine's Day special over on Twitch. And Carol, any final thoughts before I let you go tonight?
Well, I'm glad that Sports OTHP is a part of the charity event, and I'm glad that folks are donating to the the kids and everything. Appreciate y'all checking us out as always. We're going into season 7, year 6. So working on a new intro. Yeah, we got it. If Arun's on Zoom, man, will you get me a picture so I can finish with the new intro for season 7? I'm waiting for almost a week now, man. Just send me some picture. I'm gonna take one off your Facebook page and just put it in the video.
We're gonna pull him in right now and take a snapshot.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna use the Zoom joint with the dog in the background that you always have or something. But yeah, appreciate y'all checking us out. We're looking to grow and expand. I'm working on some things on some other platforms. Working on some guests coming on. Working on a prominent member of the Washington football organization that I'm trying to lock down an interview with, and possibly some other things. So stay tuned. Hail to the Washington Commanders. That's the first time I ever said that. That was different. Check out the website, sportsothp.com. You can go subscribe to my YouTube channel I'm gonna start doing some more highlight videos for the Caps. There's just been so much going on. I haven't had a chance to do them, and I only do victories. I don't do losses, so they've been sporadic. So I haven't had a chance to put a lot of footage out there. But you can go subscribe to the YouTube channel, Carol Porter III with 3 eyes, and check out the highlight videos, the live streams on Sports OTHP on At the Bar Radio every Sunday night around 6 o'clock. We talk sports, politics, current events, independent music, entertainment news, and interview independent artists from all over the country, all over the world. So check us out. As always, on my feed, I'm in with some independent music videos. As always, I'll let Robbie get to it with the NBA Roundtable and that Great Olympics coverage and this charity event. And as always, see you guys next Monday. DC Sports without the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. CP3 live from the lab, and I'm out.
All right, thank you, Carol, for joining us as always, and we'll bring in our NBA roundtable now. I
was down, now I'm really about to go get up. 10 rounds, now that nigga can't get up. That's what you get when you go fuck with the vision. My money be piling, we don't do division. The feds be watching, I just gotta get up. I was just down, now I'ma get up. Sleeping on me, I bet they didn't get up. My money was low, but now I'ma get up. Oh, bet that we get up. Pushing this weight, I'm doing sit-ups. I was just dirty, now I got my fit up. Too good for these bitches, I bet they gon' miss us. And I pack a bag if you think that I'm trippin'. I keep this shit brisk like I'm sip lipped on. Even though niggas don't know what to get on. You ain't shit, so your niggas go and get on. Get you some pack, go make a flip homes. Yeah, I'm stuck in my bad ways. Niggas always being burnt out, so I dip them all in the ashtray. I don't understand these niggas that just always talking about, yeah, they past ways. I don't understand these bitches always comparing me to they past days. I give a fuck about you, you give a fuck about me. I just be rapping for money, you be rapping for free. Feel like that I rap like a god, the reason they call me a G. I'm against all of these odds. Niggas ain't fucking with me. Never know worries, Hakuna Matata. They say that I'm hot cause the devil with Prada. I'm Soldier Boy first and these niggas gon' follow. Catching no feelings, you catching these hollows. Raul Rodriguez like I fuck with Rollo. Ain't got no time when I see this Movado. Bet that bitch shine like I'm in Monte Carlo. Looking at me like I done hit the lotto. Counting your last days, get hit up. Talking that trash, Shay on Twitter. Your bitch, she be bad, yeah, I'm with her. When she see me, her face be lit up. Boy, better go ahead and mind your business. I don't go back and forth like tenor. Run this game, I don't get no finna. But we bout to get up. 10 rounds, now that nigga can't get up. That's what you get when you go fuck with the vision. My money be piling, we don't do division. The feds be watching, I just gotta get up. I was just down, now I'ma get up. Sleeping on me, I bet they didn't get up. My money was low, but now I'ma get up. Oh.
Crank it up, Pedro.
I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up the smash. She all in her feelings, she giving me sex. I got a slack, 12 on my ass. Count up on a move, that's a digital dash. They been just losing, I'm living these fads. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up the smash. She all in her feelings, she giving me sex. I got a slack, 12 on my ass. Count up on a move, that's a digital dash. They been just losing, I'm living these fads. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. But I dish it like I give it and go. Counting money while I chill at the stove. How How I deliver, I've been at the door. It's up to you how business will go. That 36 I get for the low. Count it up, no feelings will show. Spend so much, gotta get it some more. When they hands out, I just give them a no. How they always talk about me, but a nigga stand out. Watch out how you really walk up to me, that's a man down. All these niggas got these drums with them like a band now. I've been doing what I want, that's what you can't doubt. I've been just feeling myself. Do I just really need help? I got my weight up. I be just telling myself I got love for all of my dogs. I take a pay cut. Some niggas really gon' ride. Some niggas really gon' slide. So go say a prayer. We ain't never gotta slap 5. Nigga, just pay your tithes and call me the mayor. I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up this man. She all in her feelings. She giving me sex. I got a slack, 12 on my ass. Count up on the move. That's a digital day. They been just losing. I'm living these fads. Never go broke 'cause I got me a stage. I could never ever live in the past. I gotta wake up and go get the bread. I gotta go ahead and clip up this man. She all in her feelings, she giving me sex. I got a slack, 12 on my ass. Count up on the move, that's a digital day. They been just losing, I'm living these fads. Never go broke 'cause I got me a stage. I could never ever live in the past.
A few years ago, I told myself I'd be the next big thing in the industry. See, the game is simple. Life has its way to show us that anything is possible. The power of the tongue, which has the ability to be detrimental or beneficial. Was it beneficial? I'll leave that one up to y'all. This is my story from me to you.
You're listening to this song right now. I'm speaking specifically to you. I want to give you my testimony and tell you a little bit about myself, if you don't mind. Coming from nothing but a little struggle and pain. Crazy how we can all turn around for you and change. I done seen a lot of things in the street, wrong danger to me. Hustling with them niggas that was no good for me, but I never gave up. 10 toes prayed up, thinking about the nights when the opposition got sprayed up. Trying to see a sunny day, all I get is rainy days. Screaming free my dogs and the loved ones who ain't here today. Yeah, I miss you, wanna kiss you, wanna hug you and hold you, won't forget you. All my life I've been misunderstood, just a little nigga tryna get up out the hood. And this thing we call poverty, but that's all inside of me. Used to cry myself to sleep, but strong I gotta be. Now I'm on TV, I done made it out the street. Troubled child turned the streams to reality. See, I knew that I would get there all along. Listen to the words of the song. This is my story from me to you. All I wanna do is just give you my truth. All I really want, promise to keep this just between me and you. Just between me and you, yeah. And you can do anything, just believe in your dreams will come true. Who would've thought that we would come up like we did? Running around on Upland Street, man, I never forget. They told us we was bad, always getting in some shit. Breaking windows from throwing rocks, but we was just being kids. And smoking at the park, coming in after dark. Rolling with them thug niggas, reckless with no heart. Sexing on them, hood rats addicted from the start. Trapping and catching cases, ghetto life is so hard. Coming from a broken home, left me all alone. Neglected as a child with nothing to call my own. But now that I'm good, now that I'm paid, I'm shining, everything is okay. This is my story from me to you. All I wanna do is just give you my truth. I'm giving you my truth, will you hear me? Promise to keep this just between me and you. Don't you tell nobody, no. And you can do anything. Just believe in your dreams will come true. So yeah, this is a to B conversation. And with great faith, you can see your way out of anything.
20, where you at? Run that up, Rico.
A.N.T. Tell them I'm back now. I never back down. My team strapped down. Let it go back down. Man down, that's on 911. Nigga, I never back down. No, I won't run, nigga. Chasing money till my pockets big pun, nigga. Terrorists, why you fucking with the wrong ones, nigga? Don't back down. Jesus, send you to Jesus, front to the casket. My flow the meanest, that's where the heat is. Get off my penis, unless you a genius. Shit, I need this. Back down never. Who is better? Birds of a feather. Niggas all the same, they don't know better. Man, I've been a king since a nigga Chris Webber. Man down, let it go. Better stay on your toes. I've been flexing on these hoes. Man down, let it go. I've been grinding, I've been fighting. Got the lightning once the cake, got the ice. And supersizing my meal. Appetizing, oh my god. Running back, I'm a titan, nigga. Ask Paul about the kid. A.N.T. is killing this shit. Man, I gotta stay lit. Nigga, extinguish your shit. I got the fire. Make us sing like Mariah. They just birds on the wire. Dirt naps, where's the choir singing? I never back down. My team strapped down. Let it go back down. Man down, that's on 911. Nigga, I never back down. No, I won't run, nigga. Chasing money till my pockets big pun, nigga. Terrorists, why you fucking with the wrong ones, nigga? Don't back down,
Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know, and I'm here, and you know it, it's all just the same, and I know it's gonna be disco. Take me to a place where everybody learns, where everybody sees, where everybody shows their love. I didn't think so. You know, that's why I always plan for you or me. I really didn't think so. I take a promise, I give it some love, I make a wish upon a star. You know you gotta get it right. You know you gotta get it right. Ooh. Every little thing counts now. Every little bitty thing. Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know, and I'm here, and you know it, it's all just the same, and I know it's gonna be disco. It'd be so cool just to celebrate all the love and all the hate that's going down. It's gotta stop, we've had enough. Why can't we just live together? Peace, love, and harmony is what this world needs forever. Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know. Can you hear me? I am calling out your name.
I ain't a boss. Switch your position, they hating me on the low. I cannot listen, I pack your bag if you trippin'. I got me your superstition that you been looking for ways. Get me up off this mission, my grandma told me, boy, watch what you pitching, you stay safe at the base. And not what you whipping, they just all in my business. Scotty knows just what a pippin'. Flow like I be rapping, tiptoeing J's when I'm riffing. They say I be hot, but I think I'm sizzling. Surgically put on the clinic, spit it out just to a dentist. Try to do me some good, but they say I'm a menace. We back and forth like it's tennis, and I can't mold out my image. But we can't really change what you already felt, and nobody can say we never did help, never did it to mention. So let's calm all the tension. Let's just show you what's real and just get back to this business, you know. Trying to make a flip up off a quarter P. This is what it is and what it's supposed to be. I've been right here if you ain't noticed me. It's them Southside squad niggas for the D. We been right here if you ain't noticed me. We been right here if you ain't noticed me. We been right here if you ain't noticed me. We been right here if you ain't noticed me. A rapper step up to me, that be a no-no. I be deaf cause they so-so. WWE, I got the game in a chokehold. Stamp it just like a logo. Just keep it on the low-low. They like I'm back on my mojo. Man, I still be great, either riding or solo. Used to bag up them Cinco's just to make back that Ocho. Going into OT when I was loving that Coco. Spit it all on some promo. I'm talking tables and photos. Dying for what I love. I forgot about the Toto. Don't become a D-Rust. That mean you breaking the bro code. Man, all of these threats, I might just buy me a fofo. Try and get all of these checks so I don't see you just no more. Man, you rapping ass niggas, I see you done change. Even when I touch my first million, I stay the same. You can't deliver the genre. Fuck this game like a porno. They hearing this like, oh no, ain't from DC, but he go. Trying to make a flip up off a quarter P. This is what it is and what it's supposed to be. I've been right here if you ain't noticed me. It's them Southside squad niggas 40 deep. We been right here if you ain't noticed me. We been right here if you ain't noticed me. We been right here if you ain't noticed me. We been right here if you ain't noticed me.
What's up? What's up, man?
Seriously?
I've been calling you for all day. Listen. I'm in the booth. I'm gonna call you back as soon as I'm done. Give me like 10 minutes.
What do you mean you're gonna call me back? Like, I've been calling you all day. It's been hours. Like, what are you doing?
I know it's your birthday. My apologies. Give me 10 minutes, babe. I'm gonna call you right back.
No, you with them girls, aren't you? I know you with them girls.
Ain't no damn girls in here.
So let me see then.
You gonna do that? You gonna do that to me in front of Chill?
Smooth B in the fellas.
You got me waiting on my birthday, so let me see.
Yeah, no problem. Fellas, say hello. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
We working. That's hard though.
Hey, listen. Hey, give me an hour. I'm gonna call you real quick. Calm down. Relax. I got you.
Hurry up.
All right.
say